let me sum up if you need my views on Vladimir Putin. I'm not sure if you do need my views, but my view is that he is an authoritarian ruler who violates civil liberties, who invades other countries, um, who abuses his own citizens, but also abuses the West. And he often does so through the oil and gas weapons. Russia is one of the world's largest producers of both. And in fact, to this day, a great number of European countries are totally reliant on Russian natural gas, which is what Ronald Reagan warned about. Reagan in the 80s said, do not build a pipeline to Europe. You will be reliant on your enemy's energy. And that is the tool that Putin has used, not only to enrich himself, but to hold Europe hostage. And Canada could be an antidote to that. Canada could sell liquefied natural gas, LNG. In fact, Putin, I don't know if we have time for it. Do you have time to play the clip of Putin referring to the Canadian Parliament? And this is right when he was talking about denazifying Ukraine. Is Justin Trudeau gave Vladimir Putin one of his most powerful propaganda talking points. And to Canada's embarrassment, Putin brought it up last night. Justin Trudeau invited a bona fide Nazi SS officer to Parliament. Now, Putin adds a detail I was not sure of. He claims that Yaroslav Hunka actually murdered Jews and others. I was unaware of that, although I understand in the Nazi SS that was sort of a rite of passage. Here, let's play that clip.
You say Hitler has been dead for so many years, 80 years. But his example lives on. People who exterminated Jews, Russians, and Poles are alive. And the president, the current president of today's Ukraine, applauds him in the Canadian Parliament, gives a standing ovation. Can we say that we have completely uprooted this ideology if what we see is happening today? That is what denazification is in our understanding. We have to get rid of those people who maintain this concept and support this practice and try to preserve it. That is what denazification is. That is what we mean.
Yeah, thanks, Justin Trudeau, for giving Vladimir Putin a talking point. Here's what I learned yesterday in closing. I learned that Vladimir Putin is physically and mentally stronger than Joe Biden. You could probably guess that. I learned that Vladimir Putin thinks about his country in the sweep of history and destiny and national interests, and he thinks about his country's long-term future in ways that our Western leaders do not. I learned that Vladimir Putin is not used to the back and forth banter as democratic politicians are, because there is no vibrant, antagonistic, pluralistic press corps in Russia. So he's used to giving long professorial answers to people who just sit there and take notes. I think that half-hour historical answer is sort of how he probably normally talks, and woe unto the flunky who expresses impatience. I think that what Putin said about his interest in becoming more allied with the West are most likely true. If he did, in fact, ask Clinton, could Russia possibly join, I think that perhaps there was an enormous opportunity that was missed, and the military-industrial complex of the West said, no, we can never stop fighting Russia. We always need an enemy. Of course, now we've got radical Islam and China added as enemies too. I think as to the conflict in Ukraine, Putin said something that I think is credible, which is that he's open to a diplomatic solution. The reason I say that's credible and not a lie is that Putin seemed dedicated to various treaties signed in Minsk and to a treaty that was being hammered out in Istanbul. And it's been reported from various quarters, including from Israel, that it was Boris Johnson that scuppered it, not Putin. I don't believe Putin when he says he withdrew his military from Kiev as a sign of good faith. I find that too far-fetched. It could be true. It's the first I've heard of it. And I think that for millions of people around the world, this is the first time they will have heard Vladimir Putin's side of the story. Whether they believe it or not is up to them. And I think Tucker Carlson has shown that he can rise to the occasion. I think 90% of the criticism of Tucker Carlson is either by people who are putting their partisan or national loyalty ahead of their journalistic sense and saying, don't talk to bad people. Hillary Clinton, don't talk to liars. Well, then there wouldn't be any politicians on TV. Or in the case of people like Andrew Neil, simply professional jealousy. And I can understand that.